Hello, Alex Smith here again. Right, this is the fifth instalment of my warehouse videos. So, let's talk about supply chain management. Okay, that was eloquent, but what is supply chain? Let's imagine that you're producing a product of some sort. Let's say it's something quite easy, bottles of drink or those sort of things. What do you need to actually produce a bottle of drink? Well, first off, obviously you need your raw materials for making the drink. So, the Coca-Cola type sludge or that sort of thing. And you'll need a bottling plant. So you need bottles. So you need to negotiate bottles or cans or those sort of things. And you also need to move it from store to store. So you need trucks and drivers. Either you get somebody to deliver your goods, you work out a contract there, or you buy yourself a fleet. So then you need other things to make your factory work. So you need machinery, you need people, and the people need wages. And it's not just people on the production floor. You're also going to need perhaps warehouse people, office people, accountants, and the various other things that make a factory work. And then you'll need some sort of an outlet like shop premises, perhaps, or negotiate whereby you deliver. So all these components and parts that make up the journey from being raw materials to being produced into something that is in a bottle, in a vending machine, in a shop, or in your workplace, so that sort of thing. And your profit margins aren't going to be brilliant on that. Think of an everyday product like petrol. Yay! Everybody needs petrol. Everybody uses petrol. We're queuing out at the petrol station. Surely you can make money on petrol. The petrol companies only make about 1 or 2 pence a litre on that stuff. Yeah. The rest of it in the UK is tax. 70% of everything on petrol is tax. So where they tend to make their money in petrol stations and those sort of things isn't from the petrol per se, but from the little shops where they sell you packets of crisps and cigarettes and various other bits. Who knows? So when you're looking at a supply chain, it starts off with a customer order. They want something or whatever. So then you need to look at getting the raw materials in, perhaps to manufacture that order. Then you manufacture the goods. Perhaps they go into your warehouse before eventually going off to the customer. So it's all of those parts along the chain. So what? Okay, let's look at another industry. Cycles. Yeah, I'm a cyclist. Okay, cycles. All cycle manufacturers just make frames in effect, frames and forks. For mountain bikes, if you've got a homegrown fork on there, it's going to be a cheapie. Usually this is a components game, so you make your frame and then you put on a lot of other components like Shimano, those sort of things, Hope. And what this means is that you have to get all of those components in. And this means that you're paying somebody else's profit margin. The more chains you have, the more links you have in your chain, the more people are taking a cut. So let's say that firstly, to build your bike frame, you need steel or that sort of thing, steel tubing, let's say. Firstly, the iron needs to be mined, and then it needs to be smelted and turned into raw ingots or what have you, then turned into tubing. So you've probably got 2 or 3 people before it even gets to you who have processed it and done various bits to it, and then knocked on their 40% profit. So already you can see you're getting 40% plus 40% plus 40% before it even gets to you. Then you have to put on your markup once you've manufactured the thing, and any components that you get in, like Shimano or SRAM or that sort of thing, that will have been mined, smelted, manufactured. So you're paying that manufacturer's markup as well before it even gets to you, and you add that onto what it costs you to your customer. Yeah, and ideally you want to be able to control the supply of your thing. Yeah. So the moral of the story then is to be a manufacturer who controls as much of a supply chain as possible, so you're not paying other people's markup. Yeah. So, classic example, Giant Cycles. Giant, they build the frames, but they also have a lot of their own components there. They're not buying in a lot of other stuff, but it's good quality components. So they'll make their own wheel rims, their own hubs, for example. Or they'll put quality components on there. They even make their own tyres. Yeah, I know. And what this means, they even have their own mines. So what it means is that they are mining, they are smelting, they're doing everything themselves. So you're not getting that compounding markup going on before it even gets to you. So what it means is that you're running everything more or less at cost price, and then you're just putting your own markup on when you sell to the customer, which means that you're still competitive compared to everybody else because you don't have that extra expense. So supply chain, you're a part of it. In a warehouse, you are, either the distribution centre that's a part of it, or you're the logistics that's hauling it, or, you're storing it while it matures or what have you. So when people talk to you about a supply chain, you're an integral part of that link on the product's journey from the mines to manufacture to the shops to the customer. And whether they've put in an order or whether it's just going into a shop, yeah. Now you don't even need shops. Many businesses, for example, just sell directly off of the internet and they have their websites. The nearest thing they have to a shop is at the factory. That's it. So shortening the supply chain is quite good for business because it means you're not paying other people's costs. So there you go. That's manufacturing, but also if you think about other things like the service industry, hotels. Hotels still have stuff that they need to get in, like they make video downloads for your hotel room. They do meals. They have saunas and spas and various other bits and gyms. Yeah, so they need components and bits and pieces and stuff that they need to make that happen. So that and beds and linen and cleaning materials and paint and maintenance and various other bits. There's lots that comes in to make a hotel work, not just as a hotel building, but as let's say a venue in itself. Let's say you do weddings and parties and that sort of thing. Then you've got the venue space there and the meals and the bars and the other things you're doing. So it's not just about manufactured goods. And again, the more that you can control in-house rather than sourcing out, the better the customer pricing, basically. The more competitive you are. Or the more profit you make, depending. Anyway, that's profit maximizations for another day. I'll talk about that at some point. But there you go. Enjoy.